This Monday, I went to Harvard GASA's event, the NWord, Code Switching, and AAVE. GASA stands for Generational African American Student Association, and this event was a part of their For the Culture series celebrating Black History Month. We gathered to answer the questions: can hip-hop truly reclaim the N-word? What does it mean to sound Black? And is Blackness performative at Harvard? This event also included Professor Sun Cho as a special guest. He teaches Gullah in the African Language program at Harvard University. Sun is an artist, activist, and a social commentator. Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine and I am a senior at Harvard, finishing out my final semester here at home in Ohio. So I went to this event, I really enjoyed it, and yet again, I am going to be talking about some of my thoughts that I had that I wasn't able to voice. If you watched my videos, you know that I did make one about the event that I went to last week. So this is my second video about the series. Just so you know, I will not be saying the N-word in its entirety. I am going to be saying the N-word because it's just something that's not a part of my vocabulary. I don't feel comfortable saying it, and I will leave it at that because this is my video and I do what I want. So I'm going to be saying the N-word, and that is how we will move through the rest of this video. My personal opinion about the N-word: I just don't say it. It's not something that's a part of my vocabulary. It's something that I think personally needs to just be put to rest in other annals of history, things that we just don't bring up anymore because there's no reason to. I personally do not understand, cannot find any logical reason for why someone would want to use a derogatory, pejorative racial slur in their vocabulary in 2021. I personally just don't see it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why these specific groups of people should not be saying the N-word. First and foremost, white people definitely should not be saying this word. It is a reminder of the transatlantic slave trade, of 250 years of slavery here in the United States, of 100 years of Jim Crow and segregation, when Black people, African Americans, generational African Americans are still being called the N-word even after slavery ends. And even now in 2021, it's still being used. So my thing is just that white people should recognize the power that this word holds as a trigger for a lot of generational trauma that they will never be able to experience. And by now, in this age of information, there is no way that you can claim ignorance. Whether it is the hard ER or the soft A at the end, it doesn't matter. Out of your lips, your face, your skin, if you are a white person, it just should not be coming out at all. Other racial minorities. Some other racial minorities, and when I say that, I mean people who are Asian, people who are Hispanic, or anyone who just does not fit Blackness, they sometimes use the N-word also. When other minorities do things like this using the slur, the N-word, it makes me sit there and just think. You do know that there are derogatory terms for your ethnic group, right? You do know that. If for some reason you do want to use a derogatory racial term, why does it have to be African Americans? Like, there is an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to derogatory racial slurs, and they are separated by ethnicity. So other ethnicities, people of other races, definitely should not be using the N-word because, one, you are a minority. You are a racial minority. You should understand the pain that comes from hearing or being called a derogatory racial slur. So there's that. And then beyond that, Africans. So there is a difference between being generational African American versus a person of African descent. It is my personal opinion, and it was also the opinion of 3 other people that were on the call, that the N-word is not something that should be said by generational Africans either. And the reason being because generational Africans have no ancestral connection to that word. My great-great-great-grandparents were probably called this word. Theirs weren't. And that means something. When other generational African Americans want to use the word, for me, it is just a little bit confusing, because why? If someone wants to use it as a term of endearment, I just say the person's name. Or I will say, hey love, hey babe. And that's just where it stops for me. I don't feel the need to call my generational African American friends the N-word. But I'm not going to police other generational African Americans on their use of the N-word. If someone calls me the N-word though, I am quick to say, don't call me that. Because it's not a word that I connect to friendship. And I will leave it there. Can hip hop reclaim the N-word? So with this question, Professor Cho started talking about how reclaim is not the correct word to use. For something to be reclaimed, that means at one time it was yours, someone took it, and then you got it back. That's not what happened with this word. It was a word that was put onto us as in generational African Americans. So it's not something that can or should be reclaimed. And I went, that's a good point. That is a very good point, because Black people did not make this word in order to denigrate themselves. They didn't do that. It was something that was done to them by European Americans. And I thought, points were made. He also mentioned how in rap, it is used to talk about killing people, selling drugs, or just generally illegal things. Moving on to answering the actual question now, I believe that hip hop has already done its reclaiming of the N-word, and in that, it has kind of covered over the historical original meaning of the N-word, wherein it's still talking about the decreased social status of African Americans and all the stereotypes associated with that, but now it's all the modern ones. So being a pimp, being a thug, being a Jezebel, that's what the N-word is now being associated with in hip hop and rap. It also reminds me of when my N-word came out, or if you were listening to it on the radio, it was my hitta. So when that happened, I'm sitting there going, okay, so anyone can make music these days, but why did you have to go and take that word to talk about your friend who's going on these drug deals, killing people with you? Why? They can do whatever they want. It's their music, and it's just music that I'm not going to elect to listen to. What does it mean to sound Black? Well, the short answer is just, do you speak AAVE? And that is African American Vernacular English. Do you speak it? Do you speak the common internet slang that is now just being taken by everyone, by white TikTokers, by white Viners, by just everyone? Because it is my opinion that African American Vernacular English is being just spied on by everyone, every race, every sex, every sexuality, and they're just like, okay, what's going on over there? What's the new word? What's the new phrase of this month? And then it instantly gets picked up by Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. We can't have anything. We cannot have anything. And when we do it, it's something that is uncouth, something that just solidifies that African Americans don't have any social standing. But when other people do it, like, wow, oh, they're so connected, they're so with the culture. They're cool. It's a cool thing for a non-Black person, a non-generational African-American person to speak AAVE. So that is what it means to sound Black. Can you speak African-American vernacular English? Then we got to a topic that I personally had never thought about. It was, is Blackness performative at Harvard? I would say I don't think that it changed the way that I perform my Blackness. And when I say perform, there are things we do, the way that we dress, the way we talk, the hand movements, hand gestures that we have that perform a specific part of our identity. Like the fact that I am Black, the fact that I am female. Those are things that can be performed. And I don't think that my performance of my Blackness has changed since coming to Harvard. I'm still me. But it brought up a very interesting phenomenon called code switching. Code switching is a defensive mechanism that was taught over time to generational African Americans, and it is small changes in the way that you speak and the way that your posture changes, maybe, when you are moving through different spheres that are maybe majority Black or majority white, or you are talking with a white police officer. You're probably going to code switch. Those are some of the things that we started talking about. And in my memory and my self-image, when I think about who I am at Harvard, I don't think that I code switch. Someone else might tell me, no, Jasmine, you code switch. But I have like this way of speaking. It's just the way that I speak. I remember being young, a white girl said, Jasmine, you speak so proper. You're like an Oreo. And I said, nope, I am Black on the outside and on the inside. So the way in which I hold myself, the way in which I move through the world is non-changing whether I'm with a Black community or a white community. I look forward to the next event that I go to with Harvard Gossip because they always have great events, great speakers, and this was a very good event. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.